sideways.
Is Mike Smart on the line?
All right, so Jimmy, I took a weekend off, and we were talking about this off air, and it was magical, and I actually got a rest. I actually got significantly drunk at my friend's brewery, which was really fun. I hadn't done that in a very long time. Saw a band, and I came back just full of some fire. I'm like, okay, well, what do we do? I need some momentum because I haven't been plugged into the fire hose for a little while. So like, okay, I want to talk to like 100 awesome people as quickly as I possibly can. And so we started booking. I think we're like a third booked up already, which is nuts. Just like proof that we hang out with a lot of cool people. Mike, I'm so excited that you are the second one. Mint 2 of 100. Coming on to give us an update about what you're doing. And I have some questions that I'm asking kind of everybody, right? So we'll dig into that as well. But good morning, and especially considering it's like 6 o'clock in the morning where you are right now. That's freaking bonkers.
Good morning.
It's insane.
It's my time. It's quiet.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Cold and crisp.
Well, and Jimmy, like I feel like I haven't seen you in like 600 years.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and even when you have heard me, you haven't seen me. So it's nice. I'm kind of in the city hanging out with some family, which is nice. I've got a stable internet connection for once in the last 6 months, which is great. Which is pretty sweet. So, but I'm excited too, to have you back, Mike. For people who don't know who you are, you've been building, I don't know, since the middle of the last bull market. You're still here in the bear market. That's always good to see. But yeah, for people who might not know, because we're branching into new kind of places and meeting new people, and not everyone will know who you are. So who are you and what do you do, Mike?
I'm Mike Smart, and I get up super early to go on podcasts. I'm just kidding. No, I am the owner of Smart Digital Payments and founder of Meta-Builders, where we provide turnkey solutions for businesses and brands to enter the metaverse, and many other things. We have artists, animators, marketers, 3D web developers, designers, architects, all sorts of different people on board that essentially allow us to, build a project from the ground up and launch it and market it. We have a lot of connections in, media. So we do PR, press releases. We have thousands of writers now, thanks to PageDAO, our partnership with PageDAO. So we can get content out there like nobody's business. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
That's amazeballz. Why don't you pull the game up? We're gonna do some gratitudes here.
Yeah, and
why haven't I heard PageDAO yet? What's that?
PageDAO is a writers guild of authors, and writers that essentially we set up a bounty board, a partnership bounty board with PageDAO that people can come in and accept tasks. So we'll throw up a bounty. Let's say we want an article written for Web3 fashion industry, like we just recently did. We just put up a task for that and people can claim it. And then we have a fee for reviewers. So we pay right now $2,500 page per article. And then we'll pay 10% to the reviewer. And, if it passes, we just launch it. I throw it into the funnel and, move on to the next one.
That's awesome. What's the link for that if you want to check that out?
PageDAO. I think it's just pagedao.com. I think, but let me hear.
Page in the link. Corey's page in the link.
Come
This
on. Domain name is for sale.
Right. No, I like it. Right. Yeah. And you guys have been plugged into the Uplift for a long time too. While Corey pulls up the Uplifters Tower for the gratitudes, you guys have kind of been with us since close to the beginning. You've got a few headquarters over there for a few different projects. You created the largest portal hub install in all of history.
And honestly, I think it might stay the largest for quite a long time.
Right.
It was pretty complicated, so I would believe that would be the case.
Yeah, that's nuts. All right, so I've got questions I'm going to ask everybody on this list, so that when AI can just do whatever we want it to do, I can just say, hey, like, remember that time I had 100 guests on and I asked like what they were most grateful for? Just give me all those answers. It's going to do that someday. Anyway, so what are you most grateful for? Like, I know I usually give people like a little, it can be like coffee or fucking whatever, but I like maximum gratitude. What are you most grateful for?
I mean, I would just go with the first thing that came to my mind, which essentially was just like the forgiveness that my children have for me when I mess up. I'm pretty grateful for that. So, like, my children's love, the love of my kids. Right. I guess that's the reality. I mean, but there's a long list, but that if I was going to say most grateful for sure, it's every day they wake up with smiles on their face, ready to tackle the day. And they're not like me where I think about the last 20 years and I'm just like, well, what could I have done better? They're just like, yeah, today's a new day. Like, let's do this, Dad.
Right. That's awesome. All right. Let me get this on here.
Corey kind of messed me up because like before I met Corey, I used to just like think about the past, and now like I got all that past stuff in my head the last 20 years, but now I got like the next 20 years of future in my head. So like I'm in this weird like perplexing situation where I can't even decipher what time zone I'm in. Never mind what time period or where my mentality lies. I mean, yeah. So it's fun. I get it. I like 20 years of thoughts in your head. 40 years of thought, it gets a little bit daunting though.
Yeah, I think it's important to focus on, if we're going in the past, it's important to focus on the lessons learned and like the tools that have been gathered rather than what we lost, and then looking towards the future, I think it's important to focus on what we would like to see rather than the worries of what might happen, That way, at least we're digging positivity from the past and we're trying to put it into the future rather than beating ourselves up over useless things.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more, especially because like we've all had challenges in the last little while. Obviously, the Uplift has had tons, and I get sucked into feeling crappy about that, and like I work my ass off to pivot as quickly as possible because it's not going to serve anyone feeling bad about it, right? Like, what were the lessons? What do we need to have learned, or what do we need to build to make sure that whatever happened doesn't happen again, or that we find the amazing opportunity in it? Because very often, like if you go looking for it, you're going to find it. And that unfortunately is true for the other side too, right? If you go looking for the negativity, you're going to find it. Just go look at crypto Twitter. They'll tell you all about it. So, hanging out with the people that are looking on the other side of that equation is a privilege. And I think I'm actually going to do gratitude number 2. But Jimmy, what are you grateful for this morning?
Well, I mean, I'll get there in a minute, but not only like hasn't happened, whatever happened doesn't happen again. Like also whatever has happened does happen again, right? Like there's the positive spin to that too. There's the positive,
right.
So I'm grateful. Honestly, like I'm grateful for bear market friends. So what's happening in the show? Like I met Corey during kind of the middle of the last bear market. Which was super fun and a life-changing event. And, through him and doing this show, and, with each other, we've met tons of people who are on here that come on the channel, that are building amazing things, that are doing really cool shit. So I'm definitely grateful for everyone who's still here with a good heart that's trying to progress in this industry and see the world with it progress.
Amen. Right.
Progress.
Nailed it. Yeah, we actually had Lisa on yesterday. She's in the comments. She's on the Eden call right now. I'm gonna be talking to a few people from EOS. Got Dwayne from CSX block producer, one of Max Infeld's friends. Well, friends of that whole Crown ecosystem coming on before too long, Jimmy, which is gonna be good.
Well, and it's a good time too, because I think next week, I could have this wrong, but I know very soon the 4th season, and they do it quarterly, but the 4th season of Pamela will be kicking off as well. So there's lots of crazy stuff going on with the EOS.io ecosystem, the smart contracts, the launching of Antelope and things like that. I think yeah, we could go down a lot. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like crazy stuff happening in the market, but like we could totally go down a lot more. But I'm pretty confident that eventually we're going to come back up. I mean, you look at, yeah, I know Corey has a question, but you know, just because I'm on a little bit of a red,
yeah, there's no rush. Rock and roll.
You look at what's happening in the global you know, markets and things, you know, the aftermath of maybe financial decisions that were made by people that aren't us, you know, affecting things like real estate and stocks and bonds markets, and predictions, you know, for where that will lead. I mean, is there a bubble in housing, things like this? I mean, real assets. Mike, you know, as kind of the founder of Smart Digital Payments and kind of plugged into a lot of this financial stuff, what do you think? What do you think we have to look forward to when we get to the next, you know, bull market? Like the last bull market that we kind of went through, we saw the, you know, amplification of DeFi protocols, even though they're not like mainly in use. We saw NFTs and metaverses kind of come into their fore. Like, what do you think comes next? When we get through the other side of this, which we all know we will, we're just not sure when, what comes next? What's the focus going to be? And how will that kind of impact people who are coming in from the real world or here because the real world, you know, dealt them a hand that they didn't quite like?
Well, I mean, right. I definitely can't predict the future when it comes to the vast majority of people, because I have nothing in common with most of them. But what I see happening is already, you know, the earlier generation, this new generation, already spending all their time in the metaverse and doing the things that we already knew they were going to do. So you just project that out 5 more years, and then I mean, you look at Facebook or TikTok or all these other things. The kids always get into it first. They innovate. They do all the cool stuff. Then they, you know, move on to the next thing, and all the old people come in and they capitalize on it and start talking to their friends on it, and then it just becomes the social norm. And you know, it's like
those fucking old capitalists, god damn it.
Right, yeah, baby boomers just coming in trying to take over everything with their shitty TikToks. But no, so I mean, like, I think if we just keep moving in the direction that we're moving and trying to focus on the industry side of things, I think that the vast majority of attention will come from people trying to find ways to make money, not knowing what to do with themselves, their jobs being closed down again because of the funky pox or whatever. And then, you know, like, they're just gonna be like, what do we do? And it's like, play to earn will be one of the only options, because that's where everybody's innovating. And I do believe that we'll see a kind of like bull market in gaming, like crypto gaming and NFT gaming type play to earn platforms and tokens during the bear market, when people find their footing and they're like, this is where the value is, you know, then it's going to be crazy.
We talked about this before, and this kind of actually leads into one of the questions I want to ask everybody. But you know, in the last bear market, there was like nothing to do. You know, like you were basically like, you were there to kind of wait and like see what projects were doing. So people were kind of iterating or like fucking around or whatever. Like, we're launching an amazing new gaming arc on Mind Test when we launch there, and that'll be like what, in a month, right? And like just tons of other NFT projects are going to be able to do the same thing. So I think while the air is definitely let out of the balloon, I think there's ways that we're going to be able to grind out and learn a lot, right? Like, we'll be able to practice stuff and release new things and try new things the entire way through, so that when the next sort of gestalt crypto bull market comes in, we're going to be at a dead run when other projects are barely waking up. So that's going to be fun. So I wanted to ask, what are you most excited about over the next 3 to 5 year period, right? So like, you know, obviously we're probably into like a 2.5, 3 year period before the bull market comes back up. But like, what, you know, in that 3 to 5 year range, what are you most excited about?
That's a tough one, man. That actually fills me with excitement just thinking about what's possible in the next 3 to 5 years. I try to stay focused on today and not get my hopes up for the future, because it's changing. You know, it's changing so fast, and once you think you have a grasp on things, like for example, anybody who thought PFPs was the end of NFTs, you know, it's like,
wait, you can't release 10,000 PFP projects a day and have that market make sense?
Right. Well, what you got to do is you just got to launch another PFP project. It's like, no, we're not going to launch a single PFP project to make a fucking point. It's like, it's retarded. It's, pardon my French. It's like, I don't like that word, but it's dumb. Pretend it's
There's definitely diminishing returns. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited about Meta-Builders kicking off in a big way. Like, I think we're a very short distance away from being where we want to be as an organization, but like providing these jobs, watching the mass exodus of workers that are, scrambling and needing a place, watching them flock over to, an ecosystem like Meta-Builders is going to be, fun to watch, because that's what we're preparing for, creating job opportunities and creating like scalable ecosystems for this new industry of workers.
Yeah.
We're about to start setting up our conferences at the college, and that's going to be huge, pulling in hopefully, tens of people at a time onto these platforms. But I got a connection with the business professor at the college near me. And so we're going to set up trying to onboard students from the developer space into jobs at Meta-Builders. So I'm really excited about that.
What's fun for that for me is like you're excited about your excitement over the next 3 to 5 years, but like I think we are too. But like I'm just like kind of listening to you, but I'm also kind of distracted looking at the the page.org site. And what's super interesting about that is like I think like what you guys are building is kind of allowing people not to have to work for you. What you're building is allowing people the time and space to be able to work for themselves. So the more people that you can onboard into that scenario, into that situation, I think, and any project really, that's what we're here for, right? We're not, at least me, I'm not here so that I can get a job and get paid by somebody else to do what they want me to do. I'm here so that I can learn skills and use those skills to be able to like plug into not having to work for somebody else, right? And definitely go check it out. If you haven't done it yet, right? Go over and check out this page, DAO.org, because there's some really cool things on there, right? Like you can mint an NFT book, right? Like
self-publish a book.
Right, you can do all of this. And so I think like our friend Chan, she does this as well, and I know Corey's had some experience with this over on LinkedIn, right? Like there's a lot of really smart people who are at the beginning of their career that are looking towards this industry to be able to set themselves apart from anyone who's just looking for a company job for life, right? And I think that's really incredible. And people like you who are building that, who are trying to plug young minds into this to be able to set them up basically for financial freedom. Even if they don't become rich, they can set themselves up where they can be in an industry that's building something that they can make a reputation for themselves, rather than just showing up, punching a card, and getting paid for doing something that nobody even knows that they're doing. There's my rant for the day, but yeah, I'm super excited about it. So it's always good to see you guys just keep building on top of that, and I'm excited for people like you, Mike, if I can answer that question.
Yeah, heck yeah. I want to touch on Gary's answer. Machine learning merging with metaverse, stable diffusion generating assets for the metaverse. Like Jimmy, I want to actually have you interview me, because I want to answer all these questions myself, and mine is gonna rhyme with this. And Jimmy, I want to interview you too. And I was like, Gary, I just messaged Gary. I totally want him. For anybody that doesn't know, Gary is one of the like OG super freaking main people on the Uplift team, and has been since the beginning. And is working on our mind test iteration. It's just a general fucking badass. But yeah, that is really was really fun. All right, so next question. Okay, so this one like is a little bit dark. So just roll with it. What's your biggest fear for human civilization?
The first answer that came to my head was that it continues much longer.
Okay, look, what are the existential threats that you see as the most likely, right? Because there's some like we could get hit by a meteor tomorrow, right? Or in 10,000 years, who knows, right?
I think the most likely is that China slow rolls in all their military forces and police forces and takes claim to the land that they own based on our extreme debt in America, to them, and that we become slaves and have our entire culture stripped away from us like they do to everyone else.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
my main.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty dark. I mean
that, like, on the likelihood scale, I mean, this is my personal take as somebody who spent too much time thinking about geopolitics. Like, that'll just never happen, right? Like,
It's happening already.
There's not a single Chinese military asset on U.S. soil anywhere.
There are Chinese police force in New York right now.
Yeah, they're taking care of their like embassy. But yeah, no, dude, that's true everywhere for every country. That's not news. That's like everyone is doing that. That's not different.
Yeah,
anyway, from my perspective base, I'm sure there's people sitting somewhere being like, "Oh man, it's already happening. The Americans are here. They're doing it to us."
Yeah,
right?
like literally everywhere.
It would be
literally everywhere.
It would be true.
So yeah, I mean, that's the and not so much for civilization, but for the state sort of losing its edge as like the superpower. I think it's gonna happen eventually, right? All we need is like a few more religious leaders to gain power. And it'll just be Dumbistan for the rest of time. So I mean, now granted, I don't know if that's gonna happen soon, but either way, I mean, I think it's a legit concern, because I mean, I think we get too comfortable. Some of us, obviously not you, Mike, because you're fucking on this shit. We get too comfortable thinking that like the way that the current situation or the current way that we've lived our lives is just going to continue. That's definitely not true, right?
No.
All right, so cool beans. That question. So what's your primary focus day to day? Like, which project are you spending most time on? Like, I think I know. I just want to make sure that I sort of get this is like a two-part question.
My personal primary focus every day is trying to. I mean, that's a rough one because we do so many things, but
right. That's why I wanted to try and dig into something a little bit specific. Like, what are you spending the most time on?
The functionality of Meta-Builders itself, because I feel the pressure, right? I mean, you've got to look at all the other things that we're tapped into, like Firefly EDU, specifically for the re-education of our youth, and being that these current situations that are happening with the lack of trust in the school systems and the governments and things like that, there's a mass exodus of people leaving schools. So we want to be able to provide solace for these teachers as well. And if we have thousands of writers, we have endless amounts of stuff to write about. Now we've got people that need to edit, or we need people to edit our articles. There's plenty of room for English teachers.
So Jen actually is on our team, is looking for a side gig, and she specifically talked to me yesterday about it. And I sent her all this already just in the last 10 minutes. She's like a professional journalistic editor. So I was like, you need to go get this.
Dude.
And she's incredible. Yeah. She's like really, really good. She's edited a couple of my things, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna stop writing like that.
Yeah, she's really smart. So I could
it's really good. All right, so but you're spending most of your time on the functionality of Meta-Builders. I mean, obviously, like that's what I see you doing the most. I love the fact that you're in the education space as well, just because I think that space is definitely rife for for innovation for sure. Because that they're just the idea that our kids are going to learn as much as they can in a school system that was designed for 18th century England bureaucrats, right? Like it's just like, is that really the best we could do?
No,
it doesn't seem like it is.
Well, and another thing too is like it's all of it. So Meta-Builders in the big picture, like we're onboarding musicians into the metaverse, we're onboarding businesses into Web3 by creating dApps for their website so they can integrate with MetaMask and all these other things. So it's a huge thing being built, and all at the same time. Like it's like a bunch of ants just like spitting little piles of sand up in all these different directions, and it's all coming in together in this one big, creation. But we have to stay focused on that, because with Third Planet Studios, she's busy onboarding musicians and things like that. So we've got to focus on providing a proper structure for that onboarding system. We got to figure out what we're going to charge these artists to create their packages and, you know, implement all this stuff on the website while we're also writing articles and editing articles and paying people this and focusing on the market so we can properly dollar cost average into the DAO tokens that we need to service the industry with these specific, you know, services like Raid Guild and their devs and PageDAO and the writers. And it's a huge thing. And me being one of the only people that are available and prepared for this, like, I've got a lot of hats on.
Yeah. All right. So this sort of, like, I always known you to be a multitasker, but so like what I really wanted to get to with the part 2 of this question is, you know, why are you doing, you know, this project instead of something else, right? Because like somebody with a builder's mindset like you really could be doing anything, right? Why are you focused on this?
Because it's in my opinion, the most epic, like perfectly positioned business model for the current and like the next 10 to 100 years. You know, the sentiment of the marketplace, like creating digital environments and turning real life products into digital products and creating a economy inside a virtual space and all these things like that you guys have been doing and the whole community has been doing, trying to come together and figure out how we're going to make proper payments for items inside these virtual spaces. There's all this stuff. Once we pop on the other side of, oh, this is how it's done, and everyone else is like, oh, look what they're doing, you know, it's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, you know. It's like being at the forefront of that, having an amazing brand, being able to turn that brand in and integrate it into video games and movies and cartoons. We're going to run this shit. That's basically why, you know, it's because we're going to run it, you know.
Yeah. What you said about like the 10 to 100 years, I spend a lot of time thinking really, really long term these days, right? Like it's one thing to think, okay, you know, obviously there's like the day-to-day things that we need to solve running you know, businesses and stuff you know, in the near term, but like what does this look like in, you know, I love the 3 to 5 year question, because it's like digging into, you know, what that's going to look like when a lot of these technologies mature. But what does the whole thing look like when people are spending more time in the metaverse than they're spending in the real world, or it's blended so you can't really tell the difference, right? Like I think that's coming. And you're right, like we're at the Atari level. The people that stick around and stick it out in this ecosystem for the next little bit, like it's gonna be real fucking crazy. Gary said, I just want to get Gary's comment here. I agree, and the tools are getting very advanced. Unreal 5.1 and Blender 3.3 are phenomenal. Yeah, I agree. And really, like either whether it's like stable diffusion creating images, I've now seen videos of people using AI like that, so that they take, you know, just a Minecraft environment and make it look photorealistic, just with AI on the fly, right? Like all that stuff's coming, right? Like we'll build in blocks and people will see in pictures, which is going to be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you factor in the technology, the AI specifically, that the capabilities to just pump out endless amounts of high quality content, it's not going to be like anymore how, you know, the whole Gary V of create content. Like you're not going to have to put any effort into creating content. So it's going to be like it is already too loud for just the average content creator. You're going to have to create one, community, which we all know, and two, quality experience, you know. And it's like, if like we integrated so many things and little like Easter eggs into the creation of our brand, because we understand that that's what it's going to take. And the Meta-Builders has got all sorts of vibes, you know, like Mario Brothers vibes and Blue Man Group vibes and all these things that are, you know, it's got the Trinity in the symbol, and it's got the MB, but also kind of looks like WB, you know, just like lots of things that are from society that have been integrated into the brand to hopefully capture the interest subliminally and directly of the vast majority, because we're really trying to get like, hey, everyone, not only are we going to have all the jobs, but we're going to have all the cool shit too.
This is the way. I like it. Jimmy, you got anything going on right now? I only have one more question. You're muted there, Home Slice.
He's a mime.
He missed his calling.
One word.
It's 2 words.
2 syllables.
Second word?
No, sorry about that. No, I don't. I think I'm kind of with you, right? Like both of you. I think what we've seen already in terms of what's happened in progression of the space is going to be really small compared to what's coming for the next 2 or 3 cycles. But I'm also think like, yeah, creating projects that people will use in everyday life. That's why we're here. And I think a lot of people who are investors in the crypto space, they sometimes forget that. They think that they're here that because they're going to make $1 million and they're going to cash in. And most people aren't. Right. It's no different than the real business world. Right. And I think like why a lot of people are in this space is because they can build, because they can focus on what they want to do. And they can't really do that always in the real world. Right. But once we plug that education scenario in, once we plug that ability to be able to interact, once we plug the verifiable stuff in so that people actually so that people actually have to work for a living in order to get ahead. Like that's the capitalistic dream. And we've lost that in a lot of places in the world, right? Like we've lost the ability where you actually have to do a job and be accountable for it in order to make money. And that exists in the startup industry, right? That exists in the metaverse, I think, right? Like I was a little bit distracted because I just came across a Cointelegraph article that, was talking about the metaverse and where that begins and where that ends. And we haven't even started that yet, right? Like we haven't even started building in these places. I mean, we've got a good head start on anyone else who's out there, but like it's the difference between creating a toy rocket ship and actually getting to the moon. That's where we are in the space. We're in a toy rocket ship still, right?
Yeah, we know the rocket ship is going to work. We just got to build it.
Right?
Yeah, Decentraland's probably the highest quality one, like altogether, virtual environment or metaverse, whatever, in my opinion, when it comes to just the whole spectrum of things, with the quality, the way it looks, with the functionality and all that stuff.
And they've got $1 million market cap, and they've got less
billion.
Less than 100 regular users. Less than 100 regular users and $1 billion market cap, right? Like,
yeah, they got like about 300 users a day or something like that.
Yeah, we've been within an order of magnitude range of them since the beginning.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Nuts. So that's how fucking early we are, and it's so weird to me, and it was off-putting to me that everyone was so obsessed with Minecraft that they would turn down a like high quality photorealistic badass like super versatile environment to hop over to Minetest. And that's when I was like, it is absolutely not about the quality of graphics for these people. They love Minecraft. Like,
yeah, well, for us, I mean, that's definitely been the case. I mean, those were our hardcore people, right? So like that's and the functionality that that they will understand and enjoy, and that we will understand and be able to deploy. It sort of just leans into that. It's sort of a lowest hanging fruit for us in a time when we have to be hyper efficient.
Right, and it also has a lot to say about the community aspect, because it's like the community is not about the shiny things over here or over there. They're about the Uplift World and maintaining whatever the Uplift World is doing and pushing that forward. And that's amazing to see, because a lot of these, like I would say, people like Decentraland, I don't know if they're as active, their main people or whatever that are part of the community or whatnot, or if they're just building a product that they're selling. But I'm not sure if they would have the same loyalty to their environment if it wasn't money related specifically, and it's like, I think that's what's important to focus on, is that you guys have built the community aspect so deeply into Uplift World that it doesn't really matter where you are, you're going to have that community.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I was talk about gratitude, like just the idea that we're starting a bear market with a group of people that are really active in the DAO and really active in the new game mechanic developments on Mindtest, and still rocking and rolling on the Minecraft side of things. And like it's just we have a lot to work with, and that's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to keep my community alive to his bear market.
It's tough, man. It's seriously, it's a non-trivial thing, and it's not like we have a fucking $1 billion market cap to play with. Just drives me nuts.
No, dude, I'm
I
like,
can't understand that. Whew.
I'm trimming good meat. You know, at this point, I'm not even trimming fat anymore. I'm like, I'm doing things that make me physically uncomfortable just to get by.
Yeah, no, us too, man. We've had to make some deep cuts for sure. All right, so last question: who are the top 2 or 3 most amazing people in your direct circle, and why? And Lisa actually said, you know, she kind of described them as her wise advisors, and I love that frame. So, like the 2 to 3 most amazing people in your direct circle, and why you pick them.
Oh, that's rough. I mean, I would have to say, you know, keep it focused on functionality rather than just like my emotional situation, just like what the value they bring to my life specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, right, party on. Musashi is definitely one of those people. He's very giving, and you know, he goes through a lot of difficult things and just continues to put forth effort, you know, and it's like, it's crazy the things that he's done. Built us smart contracts for, you know, difficult things, and launched our Yeeter. You know, he's doing all this back end work that is highly, you know, takes a lot of skills, and he just never complains about it. He just keeps doing it and doing it, being the example of, you know, a leader. And so, you know, he's very valuable to me at this point in time. And Bobcat, you know, as well. He works endlessly. Like Meta-Builders is his own baby, you know, and it's like, he's got one of our banners that we used at Shitcoin, and I want that thing so bad, but seeing him on the podcast using it as his backdrop, and just like, he's so in love with Meta-Builders, and that gets me fired up, because it doesn't matter if there's no money or if there's a lot of money. He's working for Meta-Builders, not for Mike Smart, but for Meta-Builders, like it's the last thing that he is ever going to do. And that's super badass to have people like that, because Meta-Builders is no longer like just me and my creation, but it's like there are leaders stepping up that are, you know, falling in place. And I'm like, I couldn't be happier about those 2 guys right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that it's amazing when the thing that you started is bigger than you.
Yeah.
I really I enjoy that too.
I want to mention. Oh, sorry. I just want to mention Bogey as well. He's the one that's doing all these animations and metaverse animations and stuff like that. He built our studio in the metaverse in Neos, and he's just been busting his ass. Same thing, essentially for free for a lot of these things, just to help us, you know, get there. And you know, so those are the 3 right now. Those guys are top of the list.
That's awesome. If you can are they all on Twitter?
Yeah, but Bogey changes his name all the time so that nobody can tag him or at him, which is incredibly irritating but hilarious and part of his personality.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, Musashi is Musashi13, I think, on Twitter, or cryptocurrency, but C as in the ocean.
All right. Yeah, you can just like I'll DM you, whoever we can tag. Yeah. I'd love to just kind of give him some recognition.
Yeah, and Bobcat has a thing that automatically retweets everything that I tweet, so that you can't miss it.
All right, auto amplifier.
Yeah, basically, and it's funny because when things are trending, hashtags are trending, and it's all metaverse, Meta-Builders stuff. It's Bobcat, not the Meta-Builders profile, but it's Bobcat's, because he's always the bot like retweets immediately. So it's almost like my post didn't exist, but his retweet of it was the post.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
I mean, on that, I think that's a really good point, right? Like when you build something and then people kind of adapt it as their own. I mean, that's what's amazing, right? If you go over to even our Uplift blog, and you look at the articles, it's mostly community members that have been building and posting, and running events and you know, doing all of these things in survival mode. Right. And I don't mean survival mode of Minecraft. I mean survival mode of the full-fledged bear market. Right. And, you know, I'm sure some of us will get a little bit cocky when we go into the bull market, as people do. But I mean, as long as the cycle keeps continuing, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Then that's where it's important, right? Because there's those people out there that are grinding, that are working on projects like what you're talking about, these people that you're talking about, right? They're going to be so satisfied when the next bull market comes around. And that's what we want to see, right? You want to see those people who are grinding through the whole, you know, scenario, through the whole cycle. Those are the ones that deserve to be rewarded in this space, right? Like, as you pointed out,
Right.
we are so early. We are so very early. So definitely go and like and follow people who are supporting projects that you love, because it's those people that are going to make those projects, right? It's not the name of the project. No offense. I think, you know, Smart Digital Payments is a great name, but Smart Digital Payments means nothing without the people behind the scenes that are continually pushing them forward, right?
Well, and Smart Digital Payments borderline doesn't exist except for, you know, to be the main beginning of why, you know, I started Meta-Builders. Meta-Builders has been what I've been putting all my focus into. And I wanted to mention, and I'll continue to mention, that I bought the Meta-Builders domains 100 days before Mark Zuckerberg ever announced the word Meta. So I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, my mom actually messaged me when she saw Zuck put something up, you know, about metaverse. She's like, "Weren't you talking about metaverse like a year ago?" Like, yeah, we're building it, Mom. We're
yeah, no, he's just a rip-off artist.
Well, that's all right. I mean, honestly, he's just doing, you know, well, his job, frankly, right? Like, I like all the sort of shit talking articles, you know, about how he's like running Facebook into the ground or whatever, and he's spending all this money on stuff. You know, take a listen. Like, I haven't listened to Joe Rogan much in the last little while, but his interview with Zuckerberg was pretty good. And like, Zuckerberg was the only person in Web 2 that I heard talk about the metaverse in the way that is, you know, fundamental to how we think about it at Uplift. And that's it. Like, it has to be a place where you can do things with people that are persistent over time, right? There's a lot of people that you know are jumping on the metaverse term bandwagon, and if I can't stand on it in digital land, it's not fucking real, right? Like, that's like, you can call it whatever you want, but you know, but he understood that, and you know, I went back and looked at. Because I remember when he did the pivot from browser to mobile. I'm aging myself now, but like, you know, a dozen years ago or whatever it is. And the same articles were coming out like constantly. Oh my God, he's spending all this money on mobile. The company's going under, blah, 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 blah. No, he just sees the future and he's building for it. Right.
Yeah. If anybody saw my bank accounts and my personal spending habits and my crazy investment strategies, I mean, it would be the same thing, but you project in the future. If I had billions of dollars, I'd be suffocating that billions of dollars into innovation. Like,
yeah,
it would be, I'd be living paycheck to paycheck, billion in, billion out, billion in, billion out.
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, that 100%. Right. And that's why, you know, the Elon Musks and the Zuckerbergs of the world end up in the positions that they are. It's like, once you have $1 billion, you fucking need two. The answer's no.
you need 100.
You really don't need any of it, but that innovation part of it, I think, is what I imagine you get obsessed with. Because I mean, we're not making any money, and I'm freaking obsessed with it.
Yeah,
like, it's a privilege to be here doing it.
Right. I started this thing out as a fresh idea. Like, I was in the market. I was early. Some of the earliest investors in the market as it pertains to NFTs of any kind of like clout. I mean, I own B20 tokens before they hit the market. You know, I was at the first AMA at Star Atlas before anyone knew they existed. I was talking with the guys. You know, it's like, so I was there early. And you know, when I come out with this idea, and back when I, you know, first popped it on into the market, it seemed way new. I didn't see anybody else anywhere. Now everywhere you look, it's businesses onboarding people into Web3 or metaverse marketing service or all this stuff, but it's like, and they're all claiming, oh, the first, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, whatever. Doesn't matter who's the first and who wasn't, but now it's a different game because I no longer have to, I don't have to say, oh, I was the first, because you can check the blockchain and you can see that over a year ago I was buying, certain things to prepare for what's happening now, where other people are scrambling to get Facebook, handles with the term metaverse in it. It's like we've got dozens of them and we're just far ahead of the game. So now it's a game of, can we establish ourselves as the best? Because we are already super early and one of the first. And if we could establish ourselves as the best, and whatever that means, it's like,
even just if you last, right? Because this is like the startup Wild West, right? And we talk about this on the show all the time. People need to get used to it. We now have the ability to kind of get involved in companies when they start up, and 98% of them are going to fail. 98% of them are going to fail. That's not weird. That's not nefarious. That's not getting rugged. So, I mean, sometimes it is. But it just, companies fail, right? And companies that are trying new things that are starting out fail. Companies that are trying new things that are starting out, that are trying out new people that have never done this before fail. It happens. So
right.
If you're around in a year, 2 years, you're crushing it. And then we go into the next bear market or the next bull market.
I feel blessed to be alive now, as a business, even this far into the bear market, from all the shit that I've gone through. Like, had I not been creative and had some really pivotal characters, at certain points in time throughout this process, it wouldn't exist. There would be a ton of articles saying some shit that wasn't true. Because there'd be no one to build the metaverse. It's like, yeah, I'm grateful for the fact. And I've also been building this thing to where, it's not inflating a CEO's interest. I just turned it into a DAO and only maintain 33% of the loots and shares that exist now. I have less than 50% voting power. So I can, it's like, and a lot of these people I just gave chunks of the business to in hopes that they would help me build it to the point where, that is worth a decent chunk of money for them.
I think you should give given it all away, all of it, and then created another one and given that one away too. You should have given it all away, all of it.
Yeah, trust me. At one point, I will be selling chunks of it, but it's like,
no, he's freaking kidding. Because like there was a number of people who thankfully are all silent and gone now, who literally thought, like, after I spent enough money where you could buy a house on getting acquired in the Uplift, they're like, yeah, but you should give all your tokens away. I'm like,
no, but it's funny. My missus said to me the other day, and she's not wrong. Like, she said to me the other day, she's like, you know what? She's like, you're never gonna be rich. I'm like, wow. That was really really deep. She's like, no. She's like, no, but here's why. Because you don't care about money. You just do what you want to do, and you just build what you want to build. And I'm like, that like turned a negative, really sad position into something super happy, right? Like that's and you think you nailed it, right? Like, you're out there, you're at the forefront of what you're building. Like, Corey's been doing the same thing with his ideologies. We've been doing the same thing with this show, right? Like everyone on our team, everyone probably over the course of what's today, 2 out of 100, the next 98 episodes that are coming on to this show, none of them are in it for the money, right? They're all in it to try to achieve their goal. And unfortunately, we do still live in the real world, even though we're living in the metaverse, even though we're living in the world of Web3 or trying to build the world of Web3, we still do have to have money to eat real bread, right? Just because we're hanging out in the Uplift world, 98% of the time doesn't mean we don't have to eat real food, right? So like keeping 33%, keeping 50%, divvying out things to the team that's helping you build. I mean, that's just business, and it's a hell of a lot nicer than the CEO that you're force feeding, pumping the bags, right? Like, so I think you bring a really good point there, Mike.
Well, and it's a smart contract fed money distribution system that's built in a decentralized fashion with NFT proof of work and all these different aspects that, there's token gating aspects and just so many different things that are built into Meta-Builders to where when we're building our massive wealth, what I'm excited about this is that I believe that if I were just to keep it as a CEO and whatever, and I tried to control the whole thing or whatever, it wouldn't work. First of all, in this Web3 fashion, where I'm trying to attract these top developers that don't give a shit about the money aspect, and they're trying to build Web3 and make sure that Web3 maintains the ideology behind the people who started it, which is decentralization and basically holding people accountable for their actions as well, with the transparency of the blockchain and all of that. So I want to maintain that, and being the fact that we're positioned to be the top service provider in Web3 over the long term, I think that it's important to understand that if you look in the future, I could very well be positioned as a Mark Zuckerberg or a freaking Jeff Bezos if the Meta-Builders is successful. So getting myself out of the way early is the most important part. It's like, where is this going to be in the future, and how many millionaires could I make?
Yeah.
And I could make myself a billionaire still in the process, or I could make myself a millionaire and make a bunch of hundreds of other people millionaires and build this massive thing that could exist for hundreds of years with or without a CEO. It's like, and that's the goal.
Yeah, I am with you. I think that I get super excited about that, right? Because obviously, yeah, we're in we're in business. We're doing it to develop some kind of wealth. But I'm the same way. I think that Uplift, I've got 34%, and slowly I'm going to whittle myself down to 25. Over a few years, and that just so that we can create the most millionaires that we possibly can. Like the idea that we could take UDT to $1, which I think about probably more than I should. And now, Jimmy, might go back to being poor, but oops, right? He's rich now. What's up? So yeah, Jimmy, let's just because I know you don't care about money, and you how many conversations have we had about that? But to have the people that are on the Uplift team, who've believed in it and who've put in blood, sweat, and tears over the last couple of years, come away feeling like they had the biggest win of their life, is going to be fun. And I'm not going to quit until we achieve it. So, yeah.
See, I'd like to go one further. Not feeling like they had the biggest win of their life, like being in the midst of the biggest eternal win of their life, right?
I mean, all right.
That's to that.
Sign me up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying to think, though, because once we build these things, let's say, for example, once the Uplift World has settled in and it is what it is going to be, and now it's just about growing on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Meta-Builders and the combination of the two. It's no longer gonna be just about building that. We're gonna have such the community and toolkit to pump out whatever we want whenever we want. Right now, we have the devs, back end and front end, and marketers and relationships to build a business literally from the ground, build an entire brand, get them coverage, and have it be super high quality in the matter of weeks. It's like we could build an entire effective, attractive business in a very short amount of time. If we had hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars,
yeah,
you're talking about just
makes me
pointing a laser. Yeah, pointing a fucking laser beam and being like, exist.
Sorry.
It's like, you got the community, we got the builders, just laser beam, just make stuff happen. And that's where we're at, is
laser beam. Yeah, 2025 laser beam money.
Yeah, dude, laser beam businesses, oh, you want a reforestation company put together? Well, we have Earth Fund that can set you up with a DAO.
It was actually Tuttle, the first person that sort of saying that with our DAO we can do whatever we want, right? And so she has this sort of pet sort of dream or idea about getting the Uplift to the point where we can start doing scientific side projects, right? because she, her last job was creating machines out of DNA and RNA, because of fucking course it was.
Yeah,
she's
I love
slumming
her
it so
mycelium
hard.
idea.
Right, and so like we could fund some things that are pretty nuts, down the road, as a DAO. So yeah, like it really could get to the point where we have our shared values and our shared goals for the kind of future that we want to build, and that is going to be in the metaverse space, and it's going to be in the gaming and play to earn space, but it could be in any freaking space that we want.
Yeah, dude, we're doing a permaculture farm too, like with Meta-Builders, because we basically need like an environment where we can all be together. And we've got one of our main players, Bobcat's got 55 acres out in Alabama, and so he's going to lease 10 of those acres to Meta-Builders, and he's going to push off the payments for a year so we can just build, and so that's going to be
I might know a designer who's studied apart from multiple ecosystems all over the world. Just saying.
That's what Jimmy does, right?
Yeah. What's that, permaculture?
Yeah, I'm a permaculture designer. I've done courses with some of the top people in the world in Australia and New Zealand. Studied that work, designed ecosystems. Like, yeah, it's a cool system, and definitely something that needs to be thought about. I think not necessarily in the world of business, but definitely in the world of sustainability and health for general populations, right? Like,
yeah, what's about debits and credits, man?
Right.
Debits and credits financially, debits and credits as it pertains to the climate change, and what are you taking away and what are you putting back in? And if we can fix both of those problems at the same time, while like building a self-sustainable ecosystem as a living environment takes away the necessity to continuously have output. Also, it takes away from any kind of like pollution to the planet and all these things. And it sequesters carbon and all sorts of different positive things. It's like it's undoing the negative and then also adding a positive to it. So it only makes sense to do something like that, because we're all separate, paying thousands of dollars a month to exist, and purchasing these processed foods that are just killing us. They're poisoning us. We might as well just, as a community and as a DAO, come together and protect what is ours as it pertains to an ideology, as well as just like what we're putting into our bodies. But it just only makes sense. And if we already have the land, we already have the community, we have the skills, all we have to do is just do it.
Well, we are a reflection of what we eat, right? And there's this weird kind of idea that was displayed in a book, whether you believe it or not. But the concept is real, of people and energy fields. And I don't think it was ever meant to be literal, but you can have like an energy field that's red, that's negative, that pulls away from other people, that beats other people down. And you can have one that's blue or green that like uplifts and enlightens other people, right? And one of my favorite concepts, honestly, which isn't necessarily permaculture, but like existed long before permaculture, was when I lived in Hawaii. We plugged into this a lot, right? Property values weren't like as they are today with individuals, but they were as they are with communities. And the property lines in olden Hawaii, they ran from the top of the mountain all the way to the bottom. So they contained the whole watershed, right? And that's smart, because if you own the whole watershed, then you're looking after the watershed, because you don't want to shit where you eat. Like literally, you literally don't want to do that, right? And so what we're doing now is we're buying into this mass industrialization of agriculture and crops and food, and we're filling our bodies with it, and we're seeing the adverse negative effects of this, because essentially we're polluting our watershed, right? In some countries more than others, but if you look at some of the great food cultures around the world, and the burgeoning cottage industries that are starting to make their way back into the mainstream, even like places like England and kitchen gardens, or Italy and Japan or Malaysia, all of these places, right? A lot of them are starting to come back around to this idea, right? And so you look at things like, I get really excited about this because I've had conversations with Crypto Blood about this, right? Because he's right in the center of Detroit, right? And you look at a country, you look at a city like Detroit that was there in the beginning for the whole car boom in the U.S., right? And then went through like the modern industrial kind of fallout age of that not happening anymore, and all of these empty spaces that now they've turned into community gardens, right? Now that they're feeding populations, and when you feed populations, not only do you create this kind of ideology that, has sustenance, but by feeding them and empowering them to feed themselves, then you create community, right? And if you can create community in the real world and in the metaverse, I think that's where you succeed the most, right? Because a local community is great, but a local community is still a bubble unto itself, right? You plug that community into a global ideology where you can then learn techniques and things from other places or other regions around the world that apply to you, then that's where things get really exciting, right? Like there's really smart people in Africa that are working on almost the same land that have figured out shit that like can help people in America, right? Like there's super smart people on deserted islands that know how to trap water that could be beneficial in California, right? Like all of these things are really an intricate part of a connectiveness that we seem to sometimes have lost, despite the fact that we're always plugged in. There's no one really connecting, and that's what I love about the metaverse. I love you guys for empowering my rant. Thank you for that. Let's just leave it there for now.
It's what we're here for, Jimmy. Really, this entire show and like all the guts and stuff is really just window dressing for your rants.
Yeah, we're just trying to prepare you, set you up to rant.
Oh, that's awesome though. If you guys are doing permaculture with 10 acres and you're building something for the local community, or even as a showcase or a model to be able to experiment with, I think that's really amazing and awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, we just took a client on doing the same thing, so we're now site planning for these guys at Meta Cartel for their Meta Camp is what they're calling it. So it's pretty dope. Like, so we're basically getting some paid training to prepare us for what we're about to do for ourselves anyways. And it was perfect timing because like we're focusing on like domes. These guys are doing something else, but yeah, anyways, it's so interesting how things come together. It's like, oh, hey, I'm interested in this. And then you start talking about it. And then other people are like, oh yeah, I plan to do the same thing. It's like, cool. Well, I don't need the idea to be mine. I just need to do the stuff, see the stuff happening, and then I talk about it. And then here you are. You know everything about the next steps that I'm going to be taking.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come down sometime. Give me a bulldozer. Let's carve the land up. Let's do
it. That's gonna be a lot of fun. You know, it's funny too, Jimmy. I meant to tell you this. Sue is now gallivanting. Sue G, from the Uplifters, gallivanting around the country now. She's like living that awesome van life, having a blast. She's got a Facebook group on. She's got a Facebook group going on that is totally worth being in. It's super fun. So she hung out with freaking some dude last night.
Nice.
Like sent me a picture this morning. I'm like, hey, this is my first OG uplifter that I'm seeing like in the real world. And they're just like hanging out some freaking bar somewhere. I'm like, that is great. That's so fun.
Cool.
Oh, jealous.
It's against the rules, man.
It is not. It's so good.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, what happens when we actually realize Mike Smart is a real person and he's not just a figment of our uplift?
Yeah, no, he's an AI construct. We all know it.
Right, yeah, you saw me in person. Otherwise,
yep. Don't tell.
Yeah, no, I'm finally showing my face on these damn things. I'm just not ready to show my eyes yet.
That's all right. But you got to save something for when we're hanging out in person. People can see those amazing puppy dog eyes you got going on.
Right. Well, I burned them to death at these damn screens, and my stress. I'm just like, ugh, my eyes tell the story of all of my woes, and I just don't.
There is that
projecting that.
Yeah, I've been experiencing that, like where my eyesight is like starting to like go. I've always had like sort of really, really good eyesight, and just in the last few months, just gonna get blurry. Like, well, maybe it's because you look at screens for 12 hours a day, you idiot.
Yeah, like I deal with next level shit and like drama in my personal life based on just like who I've chosen to surround myself with over the past 10 years. So I'm tired, it's like, and I upset a lot and I feel like overwhelmed, and I'm constantly focusing on myself, and that process is draining in itself. And so like my eyeballs are always just like, fuck the world.
Well, and you got up at 6 a.m. So you can do whatever you want on this.
Yeah,
I mean, that's always true.
I get up and I get shit done, and that's part of the problem. Is like I keep doing that, and it has yet to reflect on my financial comfort. And it's like, and when it does, like I just push it, I shove it all back into Meta-Builders. So it's like, I feel like even if the world were to open itself up to me, and I would still sacrifice it all. I'd be like, oh, I can get $1 million house. How about I just throw $999,000 into Meta-Builders?
Right. I think it's funny. I've been thinking about that a lot as well, right? Like figuring out new stuff. After 50, it's downhill eyesight wise. Thanks, Gary. Well, I am, I guess, pushing 50 now. Damn it. This getting old thing is not okay.
Yeah, technology. Don't worry about it. You're just getting your eyeball. I
mean, that's right. Someday. Yeah, getting to the point where we have like some kind of escape velocity. Because like if I'm not gonna want to. I don't know. Like I don't need $1 million house. I just don't. Like that'll never be me in any way, shape, or form. I just need stuff that works so that I can go do the interesting stuff.
I need rooms. I don't need the house to be extravagant. I just need to have like a lot of rooms.
Sure. There you go. Well, that and lease some land where we can all have freaking Meta-Builders gathering and eat some oranges and
That's funny that you want rooms. I mean, I probably need rooms because I'm up here in the Great White North, but like I just need space, man. I'm okay with an outdoor kitchen, right? Like I'm okay with like as long as I don't freeze to death, right? Like I think that's like communal space, but also personal space. And if we can divide that.
I got 3 girls. They each need their own room. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
And it's not that they need their own room. I need them to have their own room. I got 3 girls, right? I get it. Yeah.
They're all in one room right now. Yeah. All 3 in one room, and that's too much, man. It's like they're at each other's throats all the time, and that's just causing me to have more issues. Just muting podcasts and running in the room. Shut up.
Makes sense. All right, boys. I gotta roll. But Mike, thank you so much for being 2 out of 100. Gary, thank you for being in the comments, and we're gonna pick a special time for him, Gary, because he works, or Jimmy. I'll keep posting on when that's gonna be. And yeah, so and Mike, if you can think of anybody else that needs to be part of this, let me know as quickly as humanly possible, and we'll get them on the list.
Yeah, awesome. Tune in tomorrow. We got TC. I think on Thursday, maybe you can interview me, Corey. We've got things lined up all week.
It's getting busy, and it's going to get more busy.
Yeah, let me know if I can help, or if you guys need Meta-Builders to do anything. We're happy to be creative.
All right, sounds good. Well, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like for you to set up an article about all the things you're doing with Meta-Builders and PageDAO, and we'll publish it on our blog.
Nice.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Cool. All the links and everything, so everyone can find
tons of the things.
He's like, do all the links and everything, so I don't have to do shit. Yeah, I get it.
No, like I did it that way, but like definitely put all the links in there. We'll publish it on Where We Hide All the Uplift. We'll publish a copy of this video so that people know where to find you, where to plug into all the amazing things that you're doing. Right? Like I don't know all the links. I just learned about PageDAO today. I was like,
and it's pagedao.org for anybody who didn't see the post on the thing. So
not .com, like I said. Yeah. But there's so many .coms and .org and all this other stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and there's also a Meta-Builders Media, which we put out articles. We've got articles scheduled for every other day for the foreseeable future. Like so that there's a lot of content coming out there. If you need to learn anything about us,
awesome sauce. Cool beans. All right, boys. Right. I'll see you guys on the flippity flip. I gotta go run and do something for Babs right now.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, ciao.